Okay, so here's the PK meter taken apart. Left the power batteries in it to show you how everything works as we're going through it. But initially you'll have to take, once you get all the screws out and you get the back off, you will see this piece sitting in here like this on top of everything. You have to pull this off to get to all the internals. The motorized armature of the wings is a separate piece altogether, which is pushed down on these little posts. There's 4 of them, 2 down here, and then there's 2 up here. And you have to use a small flat blade screwdriver to kind of slowly pry it up on each corner. You start on one side, work your way up, and start on the other side. Be very gentle doing it because this is really flimsy plastic and it will bend and it will break. Trying to show you here. Yeah, it will break, so be gentle with it. Okay, once you get this opened up, you'll notice that there's actually quite a bit of room in here underneath the display piece on the front of it, and that's where you'll be hiding the PCB for the mini PKE. It'll sit nicely in here. There's actually plenty of room. Okay, the only thing that I did was I saved a section of the speaker wires from the mini PKE to tie into the speaker of this PKE. You also want to save the power wires, your positive and your negative, because you're going to be soldering those down in there. You see where it says DC? That's the power connection to the big PKE from the battery terminals. Another thing, there's that thing right there. It says key right here. You're going to be soldering 2 separate wires to that, which I connected to a switch, but you can also use a momentary button, because all you're doing is, that's the little button on the mini PKE that actually starts up the sound. So you need that connection to have some type of a switch or momentary button for the sound activation. You won't be able to attach them to any of the actual buttons on the larger PKE because it tries to short out. So you have to have a separate switch of some sort to activate the mini PCB. Sorry. So basically, another thing that you're going to have to do is there's going to be wires going to the little lights in the wings of the mini PKE that you're going to have to disconnect completely. Otherwise, you're going to have loose wires hanging out in here, and you don't want that. You can remove these and just cover up the connections. It's just the little lights, which I can turn it on and show you. So you can save them, or you can cut them out. But initially, this whole system runs off of the original AAA batteries for the whole system. There's no additional power source that you have to add to this. Where I located the separate switch for this, I did have to modify this piece. I just cut out a notch so that way the switch would fit nicely in there. Depending on which type of switch that you put in, you may not have to do that. But other than that, like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory. You've got 6 connections that you have to deal with, but I mean, like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory. Your power source here shows your positive and negative, which is this right here, B minus, B plus. That's your power. The one that says key down there, that's your separate switch. And then it's kind of hard to see this one, but it says SPK underneath it. That's the wires going to your speaker. And I suggest having enough wire, because the way I've got it set up right now, you can see that it doesn't really come apart that much, so you need a little extra wire so that way you got room to maneuver everything. And then once you're done, it's kind of hard to see here, but there is a hole right here in between the wings. You're going to utilize that hole to feed your wires to your switch and to any other outside power source that you're working with, because if you don't run them through that hole, there's not a whole lot of room in this area to be running wires. It's a pinch point. So if you're going to run your button through the back of the back panel, I suggest using that hole right down in there. Not the best of work, but it functions.